It's time for the Wrestling Observer Extra.
One more time for old time's sake.
With Dave Meltzer, right here on The Law. Live audio wrestling.
And let's go. We're now smoking with the best.
Turn
Welcome
the mic
back.
on,
That's
Jay.
right. Turn the mic on. That's the first step of radio.
It is.
Welcome back. It's The Law, live audio wrestling, just after midnight. So that means we head to San Jose, and as the man with the big voice said, speak with Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Dave, we were just talking UFC. We touched on UFC 198, covered that, but now, apparently, UFC's up for sale. And we wanted to touch on this with you because it was an article earlier this week that ESPN had reported.
On Tuesday.
A bunch of different parties interested in the UFC. And so what is the story here? Full or partial sale at this point, now that the story has developed a bit?
Yeah, there's at least 3 of those 4 partners I think are still in the game, and there's others as well. And I know from documentation that I've seen from a party that has a bid, and that is for a majority ownership. Now, I don't know that what they're, everything's up for negotiations, and I don't know what's going to end up happening, but at least there's people who believe that it's buying controlling interest in the company. It's not like it's a 10% deal. So it's a huge, it's a huge story. Obviously, it's going to be a gigantic money figure in the billions of dollars if it goes down the way it does. And then what happens? I mean, it's like there's certain people who are so entrenched, Lorenzo Fertitta and Dana White, Joe Silva. I mean, these people have been there, Sean Shelby, since 2000, and I presume that most of them would stay, but you just don't know when you have a new ownership.
Dave, one of the interesting things you talked about on your various audio programs was this idea of one of the Fertittas being interested in maybe getting the LA football team that's moving to Las Vegas. Do you think part of it
would be the Raiders? And it's not definite they're moving, but there's been talks of it. But it'd be very difficult because they don't allow casino owners to own an NFL franchise, and I don't see Lorenzo Fertitta divesting himself of the casino business because that's his other bread and butter. So it doesn't add up, but still there's, that was definitely one of the rumors that was going around was something to do with that. I mean, when I first heard the stuff about a sale, which was several months ago, the corollary of it was, maybe not buying a team, but maybe buying a team or perhaps putting up the money to build the stadium because there's no stadium in Las Vegas.
Right.
But, there's no guarantee the Raiders are going to Las Vegas. There's a million ifs in this whole proposition.
Do you have any idea what you think? Like, why would they even be pursuing this in the first place? I me's a pretty successful company. I can't understand why they would want to really change anything.
Yeah, in a sense, it kind of surprises me just because it's a passion project as well, and they built it from nothing to this giant thing. And like Lorenzo Fertitta, it's like they literally, they would not be owning, they don't own a team in a league. They don't own an NBA team. They own the sport. In a sense. Obviously there's a million smaller promotions, but they own a sport that they grew from nothing in 15 years. And there's got to, to me, I was surprised at this stage that they would consider selling. I know years ago they considered selling, but that's before it got popular and before it became profitable. And it's not like the thing is going down. Although I will say, I don't know that they're going to have another, year like they've had the last 18 months. There's a lot of things that fell into place, and I don't know that they're going to sustain. But they're going to sustain at a strong enough level, and they'll probably get a good, again, TV rights. Who knows what's going to happen? But they could be doing very, very well on the next contract. But even at worst, they're going to be doing well. At best, they'll be doing phenomenally well.
To put this in perspective for our listeners who may not be familiar with the story, the Fertittas and a bit of Dana bought the UFC in 2001 for $2 million. The bids that are coming in from these groups are between $3 and $4 billion. $2 million to $3 to $4 billion that happened in 15 years. That is insane. Yeah. What has happened with this particular property? It's tremendously successful.
The whole thing when you talk about it, if you go back even like 11 years, right when they first got on television, with the idea that they would be where they are now, I would have just said, "Are you know, come on." I mean, and I knew it. I always knew it could be popular, but I never, even watching the thing grow and knowing the potential, I never thought it. Because how do you predict a Conor McGregor and how do you predict a Ronda Rousey? I mean, that's really been the story.
Yeah.
That has been the story, and that is actually a great point to touch on, because look at the volatility of those two particular characters right now. You have Conor, who's had that big loss, and then all the controversy that surrounded UFC 200 and him. And Ronda, what's the story on Ronda here? Because now I'm hearing, is she wavering on coming back and fighting that New York fight?
Well, Dana this week when he was talking to somebody in New York, he did New York radio, and they asked him about it, and he gave what I considered a negative answer. It's kind of like, I don't know that she's ready for that, or she's going to be ready by November 15th, and it's like, or whatever the date is in mid-November for the Garden Show, and I'm thinking like, that's a year. If she's not, I mean, no matter what her goals are, if she's not fighting in a year after losing that championship, that means her head's not deep into fighting. And if her head's not into fighting, fighting's not a good place for you if your head's not into it. And like, yes, you can move to movies and everything like that. And, you just don't know. I mean, she's represented by movie people. And maybe their feeling is that, what, if she loses again, it's going to lower the value of her outside of UFC. So maybe they don't want her to fight again. I can see where that's coming from.
Wow.
People will kind of remember one loss, but two losses already, it becomes as being this baddest woman who's also pretty.
And one other thing, too, Dave, with the sale, I'm just curious, where do you think Dana White would end up? I mean, if it's a majority sale like this, would he stay with the company? Would he move out? Would new broom sweep clean? Like, where do you see Dana in all this?
That's the billion-dollar question, because my gut is that, I mean, I would think that if you're buying the UFC, that one of the things that you want is Dana.
Right.
But Dana, when he was talking, when he goes, well, if the Fertittas sell, I'm out. I came in with them, and so, I mean, I don't know if Dana's posturing. I don't know if he's serious. I do know years ago that Dana, when people were going like, you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life, and Dana's thing always was, there's going to come a day where I'm going to walk away and I'm not going to look back. I just remember that, and it's like, and who, it wasn't any day imminent, but I don't know. I don't know. And he's done less too. I mean, like I'll tell you what. I mean, this may not be a big deal, but that show last night, there was 45,000 people. It was the biggest show in history of Brazil, and he was not there. And when I saw that he was not there, and I was kind of told ahead of time he wasn't going to be there, I thought that was very interesting, because a year ago, if they had a show in front of 45,000 people in Brazil,
he would have been there.
He's there front and center, and he's the one putting the belt on Stipe Miocic when he wins the championship.
All right, let's segue from there to another valuable property that is up for sale.
Yeah.
Okay. TNA. They have had their repeat cut on Sunday mornings now by Pop TV. Are there any developments on the valuable sale of the TNA franchise?
There's nothing that I've heard all week. We're just kind of like waiting to see I mean, these deals don't go down in an instant, but as we've talked about before, they need something. I mean, they don't have money. They don't have enough money to, there's people behind on money again. They have to fund now. They got a pay-per-view and a couple of TV tapings coming up in June. And then and they got regular TV tapings, and it's sad to watch, because there's still talented people in that company, and the TV show really isn't that bad, but they've just got all the momentum going against them, and so much uncertainty.
Isn't there also the issue too, Dave? People are still not getting paid, right?
Most people are, but some of the production people are behind. Yes.
Let's switch over to a lot of talk this week about Adam Rose, Ray LePen. He is arrested, or was arrested. It was a domestic dispute, but due to a 911 call and him pulling the phone away, tampering with a witness is what he had been charged with. There was a hearing. He's out now. What's the whole story with Rose?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a misdemeanor and a felony out against him, and we'll see what happens. If he gets convicted, I mean, he's as good as gone. And he may be as good as gone now anyway, just because of everything that happened. But I don't think they want to, he's suspended indefinitely, which is a nice way of putting it on ice because, if he's cleared of everything, it makes them look bad if they fire him.
Mm-hmm.
So suspended indefinitely is the term right now.
Also in WWE land, so there's this Hawaii card that is coming up. And there's been a whole bunch of different stories in regards to it. Some people say, I've seen Bash at the Beach, I've seen Nakamura, Cena, Lesnar. What is the story with the Hawaii card? Who is on this? And is it or is it not a WWE special?
It is not a WWE special. It's not Bash at the Beach. None of those. They don't have a card. So I can't tell you for sure it's not Cena Nakamura. I can tell you for sure it's not Brock Lesnar. He's not booked on that show.
Okay.
I seriously doubt it'll be Cena Nakamura because it's probably a similar card to Japan, and they did announce Japan. And on that one, to my surprise, Nakamura is wrestling Bray Wyatt 2 nights, which everyone in Japan was really disappointed with because of the feeling that, it's in the middle of the card, and, Nakamura, as far as Japan goes, and
he's
probably
top
Hawaii
guy.
as well, he's the draw.
Yeah.
That's why they sold out. They haven't sold out, Hawaii like that, like instantly before, and I mean, in Japan, instantly. Hawaii's also sold out, so, but they haven't been in Hawaii in 7 years, so I think they'd have sold out either way.
Is it really that just they're doing Hawaii because they're on their way to Japan anyways? Is that the main reason?
I mean, it makes it convenient, but they've gone to Japan every year and they've skipped Hawaii. I just think they probably figured that, we haven't been to Hawaii in 7 years, and it's going to be an easy sellout, and it was an easy sellout. So I don't know why they didn't go every year. I mean, it's like it's right on the way.
Yeah.
And the wrestlers, you got to figure that they would love to have a day or two there.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Let's get a few injury updates here. AJ Styles pulled off the road on the weekend, ankle injury. Is there any update on this? I'd be guessing that they would somehow avoid having him wrestle tomorrow.
Yeah, I wouldn't have him wrestling. They have to do something physical just because they may have a physical angle to build the thing. But I would think, you would rest him so he gets another week off, and then on Sunday he's ready to go. And I'll tell you what, when he had bad back and then he wrestled Nakamura at the Tokyo Dome, if you know AJ Styles, he's probably going to have a phenomenal match next Sunday.
What about the Young Bucks? Both of them are suffering from injuries.
Yeah, they were actually examined today. I haven't heard what happened, but Matt had a bad hand and it could be broken, and Nick probably had broken ribs or a rib. And they're probably both off of the Super Junior tournament, which starts this
next
coming
weekend.
Saturday. Nick for sure is out, and Matt, I'm led to believe is also going to be out. So that hurts that tournament. And that is still a really loaded tournament, but taking those two guys out hurts it a little bit.
One other thing, Dave, somewhat connected to injuries. When they did the conference call this week, Vince said Orton is expected back, Cena's coming back, Seth Rollins coming back. All these guys are coming back, and I'm just curious if you think because we've had this great focus on Owens and Sami Zayn and Cesaro and some of these guys while these others have been away. And do you think that they'll still maintain their focus, or will once these other guys come back, they'll drop down the card?
Well, they'll drop down the priorities, but I think Cesaro and Sami Zayn and Owens will be okay. The guys that'll probably be down will be like, Zack Ryder and Goldust and R-Truth. I don't know if they're going to have as much time to spend on people like that. But, I think that Cesaro's in a decent spot right now. I mean, I still think he could be in a better spot. I think, and I'd say the same about Owens, really. But they're going to be fine. They're not going to be, forgotten about because Cena and Rollins and everybody, Cena, Rollins, and Randy Orton are coming in.
And finally, Dave, did you see the punch thrown by Odor to Batista tonight in the Major League Baseball?
I did not, no.
Okay.
It was crazy, man. Unbelievable.
Take a look at that. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Scott Coker's on the phone at this point.
Probably setting up a fight, exactly.
I think it can draw.
Yep. That's what he likes. That's what he likes.
Strike
Freak show.
You have Bellator debut in Toronto. That's your main event right there.
There you go.
Dave, what's coming up in the Observer this week?
Oh, I don't even know because Tuesday something terrible is going to happen.
Yes.
That's right. It was a Tuesday.
It was Tuesday
thing.
with UFC.
Yep.
Oh my God! As soon as that, I just thought it's got to be on a Tuesday. One of the biggest stories of the year.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, we look forward to whatever happens on Tuesday, and then you reporting on it, Dave.
All right.
And we'll talk to you next week after Extreme Rules.
Okay, have a great week.
Great, you too. Dave Meltzer, WrestlingObserver.com is where you can find...
I'm worried. I'm worried now, man.
Tuesdays?
Scott Coker's going to hear that idea, and he's going to go for it. That's so up his alley. He'd love
that out right away. I don't think Major League Baseball would have any of it.
No.
They drug tested Major League Baseball, and Scott doesn't like to do that.